Welcome to the training, STAAR Alternate 2 Eligibility for Parents and Guardians. In this module, information will be provided to parents, guardians, and other members of the ARD committee to determine the most appropriate assessment when considering an alternate assessment for an individual student. As you review this video, you may repeat an individual section as many times as you wish. The following video will provide more information about video controls. At any time during the video, you can use the controls to pause, play, fast forward, or rewind. You can also control the playback speed by going to the settings and playback speed. If one of these options is too slow, you can customize it. Captions can be turned on or off, and you can make the video easier to see by making it full screen. The STAAR Alternate 2 Eligibility Training module for parents and guardians will discuss what is STAAR Alternate 2 and why students are assessed with STAAR Alternate 2. The module will also provide in-depth guidance on the STAAR Alternate 2 participation requirements and list the assurances and other documentation ARD committees must review as part of the participation requirements document. We will begin with guidance on what is STAAR Alternate 2. The State of Texas Assessment of Academic Readiness, STAAR Alternate 2, is an assessment based on prerequisite skills of the grade level state standards, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or TEKS. The STAAR Alternate 2 is an assessment designed for students with the most significant cognitive disabilities and was developed to meet federal requirements of both the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. Why is it required for a student with the most significant cognitive disabilities to be assessed? First, it is required by federal law that applies to students covered under IDEA and ESSA. Under ESSA, states are required to assess at least 95% of all students. Second, students with disabilities, including those with the most significant cognitive disabilities, benefit from an accountability system that monitors the progress of all students. In Texas, progress for students with the most significant cognitive disability is measured by their performance on STAAR Alternate 2. Third, federal and state law requires that all students receiving special education services receive equal access to instruction aligned with the state academic standards. STAAR Alternate 2 measures progress through prerequisite skills aligned with the TEKS. How does a wrong assessment decision affect the likelihood that students will be able to function independently as adults? If a student is erroneously placed on an alternate assessment, the ARD committee may not have developed an appropriately ambitious education program for that student. Students are entitled with the most rigorous academic experience possible in order to prepare them for life after high school. If students are placed on a high-stakes assessment that does not assess at the highest level possible, low expectations may have been set for the student that will have a lifetime of negative effects for that student. Students receiving modified instruction may meet specific criteria to receive endorsements or enhancements. Whether the student has met specific criteria to receive endorsements on the diploma is determined by the ARD committee. Specific criteria for earning endorsements while receiving modified instruction can be found at TAC 89.1070. To receive a regular high school diploma under the Foundation High School program, a student receiving special education services must satisfactorily complete credit requirements for courses, some of which include modified curriculum, satisfactorily complete all end-of-course assessments unless the ARD committee determines that satisfactory performance is not necessary for graduation, successfully complete his or her IEP, and meet one of the following conditions: has obtained full-time employment and is able to maintain the employment, has demonstrated specific employability skills and self-help skills, has access to non-public education services or educational options, or no longer meets age eligibility requirements. A student receiving special education services may earn an endorsement on his or her diploma if the student satisfactorily completes requirements for graduation under the Foundation High School program, satisfactorily completes the additional credit requirements for the endorsement with or without modified curriculum, satisfactorily completes the course requirements for the endorsement with or without modified curriculum. Modified curriculum must be sufficiently rigorous as determined by the ARD committee. Satisfactorily completes end-of-course assessment requirements unless the ARD committee determines that satisfactory performance is not necessary for graduation. Now that we've discussed the foundation of ARD committee assessment decisions, let's discuss the STAAR Alternate 2 participation requirements. In August of 2023, the STAAR Alternate 2 participation requirements were updated using recommendations and feedback that included the following stakeholders from across the state: special education educators and administration, education service center administrators and specialists, special education advocates, and TEA special populations personnel. The participation requirements were revised to clarify the scope of students that are assessed with STAAR Alternate 2 and to satisfy the ESSA requirements. Students must meet eligibility to be assessed with STAAR Alternate 2. When making student assessment decisions, ARD committees review the STAAR Alternate 2 participation requirements located on the STAAR Alternate 2 resources webpage. The ARD committee must review state assessment decisions annually. The ARD committee must understand all assessment options, including the characteristics of each assessment option and the potential implications of each assessment option. Prior to Step 1 of the STAAR Alternate 2 participation requirements, the ARD committee must first understand all assessment options, including characteristics of each assessment choice and the potential implications of each assessment choice. If STAAR Alternate 2 is being considered, the ARD committee must review the participation requirements against the supporting documentation within the student's IEP, such as present level of academic achievement and functional performance, the PLAF, to determine eligibility. Step 1 in determining eligibility. Step 1 includes two statements to determine if the ARD committee should proceed to Step 2. If a student is receiving special education services due to a specific learning disability or for related services due to a speech impairment as the only disability designation, then the student is not eligible for STAAR Alternate 2. Step 2, the 8 rows of eligibility criteria. The ARD committee must review the criteria in each row in this section regarding the student's access to enrolled grade level curriculum and adaptive behavior skills, and check the box that is most applicable to the student. The information selected means that it is documented in the student's IEP. After the ARD committee has reviewed all 8 rows of eligibility criteria, the ARD committee must respond to question 3. If all of the criteria marked are in column 2, the student has met the criteria for having the most significant cognitive disability. The yes should be marked and the ARD committee should move on to step 3. If one or more criteria is marked in column 1, the student has not met the criteria for having the most significant cognitive disability. The no response should be marked. And the ARD committee should stop here. The student does not meet participation requirements for STAAR Alternate 2 and must take STAAR. Take a moment to read the first 3 assurances. The last assurance will be shown on the next slide. The ARD committee must review all the assurances and mark each of the assurances for the student to participate in STAAR Alternate 2. Take a moment to read the last assurance. For the last assurance, the ARD committee determines a student will take STAAR Alternate 2. The student's IEP must provide a statement of why the student cannot participate in the general assessment, as well as if and why the student requires accommodations on the alternate assessment. After all assurances have been reviewed and marked, the ARD committee will need to respond to question 4. If all of the assurances have been marked, the response should be yes, to indicate that the student has met the participation requirements for STAAR Alternate 2. After the ARD committee has determined that the student has met eligibility for participation requirements, the ARD committee will complete the information below only for the grade level or courses in which the student is enrolled during the applicable school year. A student who meets participation requirements for STAAR Alternate 2 must take the alternate assessment for all applicable grades, subjects, or courses. Note that STAAR Alternate 2 is administered once each school year, and retest opportunities are not available. To support ARD committee decision-making, the STAAR Alternate 2 companion document is available at the STAAR Alternate 2 Resources webpage. A student with a significant cognitive disability requires specialized, extensive, and repeated supports in order to make progress on IEP goals. Without these supports, they are unlikely to make progress. Listed are examples of specialized, extensive supports one might see in a student's accommodations who are being assessed with STAAR Alternate 2. The student may require a high-tech voice output device or a low-tech communication system in order to respond to instruction. The student may only make progress on individualized one-on-one instruction. The student may require assistance with feeding or daily health needs, or require assistance with physical mobility because of limitations. Often, students assessed with an alternate assessment require very structured instruction that is broken into smaller instructional sessions. This only serves as an example of the types of supports a student who is assessed with STAAR Alternate 2 requires. The post-secondary transition plan can be a good source of evidence of the specialized, extensive supports a student needs. A student with the most significant cognitive disability will most likely require specialized, extensive supports throughout adulthood, and this will impact the student's post-school outcomes. Review the student's post-secondary transition plan for evidence of specialized, extensive supports. Students who qualify for the alternate assessment will most likely require goals for independent living. Students with significant cognitive disabilities may be appropriate for supported employment or customized employment, ongoing support services, medical or therapeutic supports, attend rehabilitation or vocational training. However, students whose end of high school goals require the rigor of grade level skill acquisition should not be on an alternate assessment. For example, students who require grade level reading and writing skills for their after high school goal should not be assessed with STAAR Alternate 2. Here's a little more guidance regarding individualized or specialized instruction. To make progress on IEP goals, a student with a significant cognitive disability requires individualized instruction that is very different from the instruction of their peers receiving special education services. Daily and individualized instruction substantially differs from the level of rigor from peers with disabilities. Daily instruction often requires an alternate curriculum, modified tasks, modified requirements, and frequent prompting that differs from his or her peers with disabilities. The specialized instruction exists in all subjects because of the pervasive nature of the disability. All academic subjects are affected by the student's instructional needs. It is important for ARD committees to understand how testing at prerequisite levels impact assessment decisions. TEA is intentional when writing test items to test at levels that are 3 to 4 grade levels below instruction for grades 3 through 8, while high school test items may be written 7 to 9 levels below grade level. The prerequisite skills for each standard can be found at the STAAR Alternate 2 Curriculum Framework document. When considering the correct assessment for a student who shows instructional performance at a variety of levels depending on the subject, the student should be given the opportunity to perform at the highest level possible. In this case, students who are not performing across all grade levels at 3 to 4 grade levels below should be assessed with the general assessment. ARD assessment decisions are an annual activity. Each year, ARD committee should review the STAAR Alternate 2 participation requirements with fresh data and a new review of each student's present level of academic performance. Depending on the student's growth, the decision whether to test the student with STAAR or STAAR Alternate 2 may be changed. It is important to review the student's yearly progress in communication skills and progress on academic skills to make sure STAAR Alternate 2 remains the most appropriate assessment for each individual student. This resources page gives a link for the STAAR Alternate 2 webpage. Also referenced in this presentation are the STAAR Alternate 2 Curriculum Framework documents. The STAAR Alternate 2 resources referenced in this section are the STAAR Alternate 2 participation requirements, which are provided in both English and Spanish, and the STAAR Alternate 2 companion document also provided in both English and Spanish. These STAAR Alternate 2 resources can be found on the STAAR Alternate 2 webpage. This concludes the STAAR Alternate 2 training module on eligibility for parents, guardians, and other members of the ARD committee. The topics that were covered in the STAAR Alternate 2 eligibility training module for parents discussed why the students are assessed with STAAR Alternate 2. The module also explained the principle of least dangerous assumption, provided guidance on each of the 5 important questions on the STAAR Alternate 2 participation requirements, and listed the assurances and other documentation ARD committees must review as part of these participation requirement